Greetings, Bat family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit our website, holybatcast.com, or find us all over social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. If you love the show, you want to help support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. Big ol' thank you to our patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting the show. It really makes it that much easier, and it means the world to us. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you're looking for other shows, you can check those out at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm Andy DiGenova. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. So this episode, we're going to talk a little bit of news, but most importantly, as promised last time, we got a lot of emails from you fine feathered finks, and so we're going to try and get those done, read through them, answer your questions, and clean out the Wayne Manor Mailbox, because we got lots to do over the next few weeks, few months. So yeah, want to do that. Joining me for all that is my good pal, my bat brother, Mr. Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
You know, you can turn this into a 20-minute episode by simply deleting all the ones that say nasty things to me because of what I said about the Batman trailer.
This is true. But you know, I do read them as they come in. I feel like there aren't a lot of that. Most of that happened on Twitter, which you were blissfully unaware of.
Yeah, Twitter? What's that? I don't know Twitter.
So you're okay. As predicted, I took the brunt for you.
You should stop doing that.
Because that's what friends do. It's only because I care. Oh my God.
People are so mad on that Twitter thing that they're after people who can't even read their stuff. That's amazing.
It's all good. It's just a movie, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I think.
It's just a movie. All right, well.
Love it, hate it, or anywhere in between. I mean, if I don't like the movie, I've got like 60 other Batman movies I can watch. I'm okay. It'll be fine. And if I love the movie, then great. I'm glad to have been wrong. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, speaking of movies, got a little movie news before we get to those emails that I'm sure are all super nice. So anyway, this is about Aquaman and his world. And if we remember 2 years ago, they announced that a Trench movie was in development. It kind of went quiet, and then eventually I think it officially got canceled. But recently on Instagram, that's where you can find James Wan these days. He also got off Twitter. So you and James Wan, you had the same idea. But a fan asked him about doing a Black Manta streaming series, and James Wan said, he goes, "I'll let you in on a secret. The canceled Trench spin-off movie was really going to be a secret Black Manta movie." So this one, this is a week or two ago. It was a little while, but it was, I do think, worth mentioning because I know a lot of fans, myself included, we were like, okay, Trench movie, sure. Wait, a Black Manta movie? Now I'm really interested. So this kind of goes to show, like, you just can't judge until you know more about the project. And I don't think anyone really saw this coming. But man, it sure does make this harder to take that now the movie is no longer happening. But what say you?
Yeah, I'm kind of heartbroken about that because, you know, I'm a James Wan fan. I appreciate pretty much everything he's ever done to some degree or another. If he wants to do a Trench movie, I'm like, you know, it's not what I would have chose, but I'm going along for the ride because, you know, his stuff with creatures is really good, and his vision, his imagination, if you will, being brought to life is always entertaining to me. So yeah, I was down for that, but I was just like, really, that's what we're going with? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I guess just let him do what he wants to do. If that's what he wants to do, there's a reason. And then finding out that it was actually a Black Manta movie, it breaks my heart that that's not what we're getting now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think we all felt that way about the Trenches. We're like, yeah, really? Weird, but okay, it's James Wan. You know, never bet against James Wan. And even when we speculated then, I was like, well, it could be a Calder movie, or it could be a Garth movie, you know, maybe one of the supporting players in the Aqua universe. But we never really honed in on thinking it could be Black Manta. But yeah, like a lot of people turned their nose up at it, or were like, yeah, really, this is what we're getting. And now that we know that it was a Black Manta movie, and I assume it was Black Manta versus the Trench, like, that would have been...
that's logically where I go with it.
Yeah, that would have been so badass. And we love Black Manta from the first film. He looks great in the second film. Yahya Abdul-Mateen is a huge star, is a rising star. So the fact that you've got him in the club, you want to take advantage of it.
Watchmen series, man.
Yeah, so great. Yeah, all of a sudden it all starts to make sense where their heads were at, and all after the fact, after it's too late, it's already dead. I do think, though, and maybe this is just the optimist in me, I wouldn't call it completely dead yet, because good ideas never die, and if Aquaman 2 comes out, it's a huge hit, people still love Black Manta, there's no reason they couldn't bring it back to life. There's no reason they couldn't resurrect it. So that's where my hope now lies, is that I hope that what they do with Black Manta and Aquaman 2 is badass, and people want more of that character, because, like you, I would love to see this movie be real.
Well, we were given no real reason why it was canceled either, right?
No.
So we don't know if it was Juan saying, too much on my plate, I have too many other things to do, just trash this one. We don't know if it was executives saying, this seems too weird, find something else to do. I mean, if it's the former, I would think that if this movie gets right around that $1 billion gross mark again, which, in today's day and age, getting a movie to $1 billion at the box office is going to be one hell of a feat. But you follow what I'm saying. If it's a wild success, and Black Manta is more the primary villain in this one instead of the secondary villain, and, he survives, I mean, unless you're going to do a prequel, I guess, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Assuming he survives Aquaman 2, then somebody's got to be paying enough attention to go, you know what, maybe we should revisit this idea. And if it was because Juan didn't want to do it, certainly he can pass the torch on to somebody else to run with it at that point.
Well, yeah, and he's already done with the Conjuring films, as he picks these other directors that he believes in, and he helps shepherd them along, and he gives them the Conjuring spin-offs, or even Conjuring 3 he gave to one of his proteges. So there's no reason he couldn't do the same here.
Yeah.
And if we believe what he has said, Aquaman 3 won't be him either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said that. He said, he goes, I love doing the sequel because he did The Conjuring 2, he did Insidious 2, and then for the third installment, he's passed both of those off, and he said he was going to do the same with Aquaman. Obviously, plans can change, and money talks, and all that good stuff.
What, does he think trilogies are cursed, or what?
He said something, and I don't have it in front of me, but he said something to the effect of, by the third one, I feel like I've already done what I want to do with it, and I want to give someone else a chance. So it was something to that
generous of him, but at the same time, I mean, that singular vision, I would like to see followed through with once,
Yeah, unless they give it to Lee Wanell.
Don't say these things.
Keep it in the family. Yep.
Go on. My heart cannot take that.
So anyway, yeah.
He's busy building that Universal Monsters universe that we deserve right now.
Well, hopefully, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Black Manta Trench movie, not in the cards for now, but never say never. Stranger things have happened, and I'd be all for it. I don't know about you.
Indeed.
Yep. Well, another anti-hero, because I would assume Black Manta would have been an anti-hero in that. Another anti-hero coming to the big screen is Black Adam. And Dwayne Johnson and Hiram Garcia, who is the producer, just attended a premiere of Red Notice. And of course, people asked them about Black Adam and DC films. And so they had some interesting things to say. Here's what Hiram Garcia said. He said, when we do something...
Wait a second. They were at some kind of a press junket of some sort, and somebody asked them a question about a movie other than the one that they were there to talk about?
Shocking.
Come on, man.
Shocking, right? So here's what Hiram Garcia says. He says, when we do something like this, we're looking at the entire DC universe as a whole, because with our movie, not only do we introduce Black Adam, but we introduce several other characters. We have great ambitions and plans for what we want to do in the DC universe, and we're starting to work on that now as we start to roll out that plan. He also mentioned he would love to see Black Adam face off with Wonder Woman. He said, we've got to see them together somehow, so we're working on it. Wonder Woman and Black Adam sharing the screen would be pretty awesome, and I honestly feel like Wonder Woman is one of the few superheroes who could go toe-to-toe with Black Adam. And then Dwayne Johnson confirmed, and he said, I turned to Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot, and I said that there should be a crossover. We can be the ones to possibly make it happen. We'll see what happens. So, anyway, give me your thoughts before I share mine.
Well, first of all, Dwayne Johnson will be actually as old as Black Adam by the time it happens, because I just read, was it today or yesterday, that Vin Diesel wants him to come back into the Fast and Furious franchise.
I know, he like wrote him a love letter being like, please come back. It's so weird.
I hope he does. I mean, I like the Hobbs character a lot.
Oh, Hobbs is awesome, and I hope he does too, because I missed him in the last Fast and Furious movie, but it was just funny that that's the route Vin Diesel went.
I'm the biggest Fast and Furious fan I know outside of my son, and I still haven't seen the most recent one.
It's fun, as we're seeing.
I mean, I like those movies. I know what they are. They don't try to be anything they're not, so I'm in. Everybody's like, oh, it was so over the top. I'm like, have you watched any of these movies past 3 yet?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why the Wonder Woman Black Adam thing never occurred to me, but it does make perfect sense. I naturally assume Shazam, and then like my next step is Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I never think about Wonder Woman, which is kind of weird, but that's really a perfect matchup, actually.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And it is funny, yeah, that's, of all the speculation, it has been. It's been Shazam and Superman, but Wonder Woman makes a ton of sense. And I think Dwayne Johnson makes a great point in that, like, if anyone could make it happen, it's him and Gal Gadot. And it's funny that he threw in Ryan Reynolds, but okay. But heck yeah, I mean, we still want a unified DC universe, and where it makes sense, when possible. And Black Adam, they are setting up the Justice Society. They're setting up these other characters. We want to see more of them, or at least we think we'll want to see more of them after the film. And it's nice to hear that those conversations are already taking place, and that there are already plans of how these characters can branch out into the greater DC universe. So it's just nice to hear that. And then, yeah, as for Black Adam and Wonder Woman, bring it on. That sounds fun as hell.
I mean, it's ideal. I mean, both of them kind of have that mythological sort of a background to them. Mm-hmm. It's really perfect the more I think about it, actually.
Yeah, definitely. So cool.
Not to mention the charisma of those two on screen together would be amazing. I'm looking forward to this. I don't Red something or other that comes out like Friday. Right?
Red Notice.
Red Notice. Thank you. I keep wanting to say Red Nose, and I know that's not right, so I stopped myself. But I'm interested to see the chemistry on screen that they carry.
Yeah. And if they're already talking about it, that's great. Get these guys together. So anyway, speaking of Red Notice and Wonder Woman, Gal is out there doing the rounds, talking about it. And there were questions, of course, about Wonder Woman 3 and Linda Carter. And here is what Gal Gadot had to say. He said, first of all, Linda has mentored me from the very first moment that I got cast as Wonder Woman. She was always there, talking to me, giving me tips and everything. She's a true champion of what Patty and I have been doing. And it was so great that we managed to find the right opportunity to bring her to the last movie and now to the third one. So Linda Carter will be involved in Wonder Woman 3, and it seems like today especially, there's a lot of swirl and murmur about Wonder Woman 3. I know that Patty has mentioned it out there. Gal has now mentioned it. Linda Carter. Like, things seem like they're starting to take shape, and then just today, it was announced that the Rogue Squadron movie that Patty Jenkins was developing has been removed from Disney's schedule due to scheduling conflicts.
I'm kind of saddened by that, but if it's because of Wonder Woman 3, I'll make do.
I mean, that's how I feel. I'm sorry to be selfish, but I would rather have Wonder Woman 3 over Rogue Squadron. Sorry. That's how I feel. So
there's some really good Rogue Squadron stories out there. So I definitely want it to happen, but I would just as soon get her trilogy buttoned up, if you will. So.
Absolutely. And yeah, we don't want to wait forever for the third film. So,
and I don't want the vision passed to somebody else, even if it's another great, competent female director, up and coming or otherwise. And you get somebody even like a Catherine Bigelow or something like that. I still would rather see Patty's vision seen through than hand it off to somebody else at this point. Yeah. And kind of a sidestep to that, I don't know if this is a hot take or a popular opinion, but I watched Wonder Woman 1984 again about probably 2 months ago. I really like that movie.
I do too. I do too. I'm with you.
It's not without its problems, but I mean, very few movies that I watch do I not think have some sort of a problem or something somewhere.
I mean, I will agree that it has its problems, but I feel like the good so outweighs the bad.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, obviously people are entitled to their opinions, and if it didn't work for you, I get it. You know, I'm the king of not seeing what everybody else seems to see in something, but I find it to be a really good time, and I think it's going to age pretty well, honestly. At least for me, which, you know, to me that's all that really matters. But anyway, sorry to sidetrack that a little bit, but
that's all right. Well, because what I think is interesting is that when they announced that Wonder Woman 3 was going to happen and Patty and Gal were going to come back and do it, there was a lot of speculation at that point is, yeah, but how long is this going to take? Patty just signed on to Star Wars. Patty and Gal were supposed to be doing Cleopatra together, right? Like there were all these other things that seemed to be taking precedence. And so it felt like we were going to have to wait longer for Wonder Woman 3. I haven't heard boo about Cleopatra. Rogue Squadron just got put on hold. For how long? Who knows? It says indefinite, but that could be a day, that could be 5 years, it could be never.
That Star Wars slate over there is such a mess right now that, I mean, outside of the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett stuff, I don't know what they even have in the cooker right now.
Well, that's just it. It seems like all of the Star Wars content is all straight to Disney Plus right now. Like there's like 18 Star Wars shows coming to Disney Plus, but not a single movie that seems to be in active development. And so, yeah, the fact that Cleopatra and Star Wars have gone quiet and now there are murmurs about Wonder Woman, it makes me hope and think that maybe Wonder Woman 3 has gotten pushed to the front of the line and now that is what they're going to start working on, which I'm all for. I want them to finish their trilogy. I can't wait for another Wonder Woman film because, you know, and there was a little bit of back and forth about this today on the internet of like, I don't know, people pitting like Zack Snyder's take on Wonder Woman versus Patty's, which I think is ridiculous because as far as I'm concerned, we've had 4 amazing live action Wonder Woman appearances in 4 different films. So I'm all on board for whatever they want to do next.
You could argue 5.
I suppose you could.
Because remember, even though a lot of people didn't necessarily like the Joss Whedon Justice League take, the Wonder Woman character still was kind of a standout.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's true. So, anyway, it's still early. Anything could happen. Again, Rogue Squadron could come back to life in a week and all of this is moot. But to me, all the signs seem to be pointing towards Wonder Woman 3 getting some traction and starting to move forward.
I hope so. And I'd also like to say, I don't know if they're actually wanting to stop after 3, but I mean, if they want to do 7 or 8 of these damn things, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I won't disagree with that either. And it's nice that Linda Carter will be back in some form or another. But I never doubted.
If you recall the discussion that we had about Wonder Woman 1984, I was sad that she wasn't more involved in that. So if we're getting more of her in this one, hell yeah.
Yeah. No, and I thought she would. I felt like that little stinger at the end of 1984 was promising more to come.
It could have gone either way, but I'm glad that it seems to be leaning toward your idea.
Yeah.
Because I love Linda Carter. I have since I was a little child, and I will until the day I die.
Haven't we all? I'll tell you, I was in Vegas last week, and the Linda Carter Wonder Woman slot machines are everywhere. Everywhere. I couldn't find a single Batman one on this trip, and I was very sad. But Wonder Woman was everywhere. She wasn't very kind to me, though. I didn't win much from her. but yeah, it's always comforting to see her around.
You should go to the casino in French Lick, Indiana. They have both.
Oh, nice. I will say the Jurassic Park machine was very kind to me.
Oh?
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, I lost it all again. But for a minute there, I was up quite a bit thanks to Jurassic Park.
I got to stay away from that stuff. I got a compulsive personality. I can't get near it.
Yeah, I know. It was all in fun, and we didn't lose anything we couldn't afford to lose.
We were at a Indian Reservation casino up on the other side of the Mackinac Bridge, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Went up into the UP for an anniversary trip we did a couple of years back, and you know, my wife's like, all right, let's go in the casino. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to walk around. And I see the Batman machine and the Wonder Woman machine and all that stuff. My wife's like, just play one of those. It'll be fun. I'm like, oh, I'll put that money in there, and next thing you know, I'll put a quarter in, win 2 quarters. Next thing you know, I'm out $50 because I won't stop.
Yep. I know it happens.
They build those machines for people like me. So no, I just stay away from it.
That's smart. All right. So anyway, Wonder Woman 3, we'll see more as it develops, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. But one thing we know is coming very soon is the Batman. So that hype train continues. Like, not only did we get the new trailer, there was some new artwork that I saw out there today. Most of it was like promo art. Nothing earth-shattering, just a lot of different angles of Pattinson's Batman and the red, stuff like that. But we got an updated synopsis of the film that is surprisingly revealing. And so I wanted to share that. So here's what it says. It says, The Batman is an edgy, action-packed thriller that depicts Batman in his early years, struggling to balance rage with righteousness as he investigates a disturbing mystery that has terrorized Gotham. Robert Pattinson delivers a raw, intense portrayal of Batman as a disillusioned, desperate vigilante awakened by the realization that the anger consuming him makes him no better than the ruthless serial killer he's hunting. So
Riddler's a serial killer.
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right, I guess.
So, thoughts on the updated synopsis?
Not doing anything to help improve my current opinion of this film. But to be fair, I might be so jaded on it at this point, I'm not sure anything but watching the movie would change my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get some of that from the trailers that I've seen, I guess. I mean, it's not contradicting any thought that I would have formed from that. But do we really need the bitter, jaded Batman in like year 2 versus year 20? I don't. People need to quit listening to what I have to say about this movie because not much of it's going to be nice until after I watch it.
Okay. I do agree with you. I feel like this is certainly hinted at in the trailer, but it's interesting to see it in writing. So obviously we know Batman is after the Riddler, and the Riddler's out there. He's, created a mystery. He's obviously killing people. We saw that within the last 2 trailers. But to really confirm what Batman's arc is in this, I think is intriguing, about him realizing that his own anger makes him no better than some of the people he's hunting. I think that is an interesting arc for Batman. And I do feel like maybe there is a way to position that as a younger Batman who is, still figuring out what are his rules and where does he draw the line, and realizing he sees some of that darkness in himself, where this is maybe him defining those rules for himself. So it's interesting because, this is a Batman who he's into his career, but he's still figuring out how does he do this the right way. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. And as far as an arc for Batman and what he could do and learn from that, I think it's a valid take.
Fair enough.
So yeah, it's interesting. I just, again, I was surprised this had as much info in it as it did.
I'm so far set into preparing myself not to like this movie that I'm just going to be gloomy Gus about everything until after I watch it. Mm-hmm. So I apologize to everybody out there who is excited for it. I wish I could join you in that excitement, but I simply can't find myself in that area right now.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, and if I can piggyback on that for just a second, like, yes, after our reaction to the trailer, after the DC Fandom episode, quite a few people were not happy with us because we were not as excited about the movie as they were. And that's okay. But I want to say, I guess, in our defense, when I went back and re-listened to that episode, both of us said multiple times, we don't want to take away the excitement from anybody who is really psyched for this movie. We don't want to do that. We can only give our honest opinion of what we think of it, but that isn't meant to in any way invalidate your opinion, your excitement. And,
absolutely not.
And even if we're not excited about it, or even if we don't agree with what you feel about this trailer, never have we ever insulted anyone based on their opinion of a movie or of a trailer?
No. It's, anybody that might have their programming set for me that listens to other shows that we've done, you might think back to the Infinity War episode. That was a lot of me and Leroy just taking pot shots at each other with that one and really digging deep into that, and probably almost killed that show because of it. So I've really tried to reset myself after that to not be that kind of a fan, because I don't like it when people act like that towards stuff that I like. So I've tried to really reset and adjust my outlook and my posturing about things. And I don't want to be a jackass to people that don't share my opinions. And, if you want to carry that same respect with you, great. If you don't, that's on you. I don't really care, because I'm not on Twitter and I don't see it anyway.
Yeah.
But for everybody I've got a lot of friends that are just head over heels in love with everything they've seen about this movie so far. And that's freaking great for them. I just am not one of those people right now. But I still want to give the movie its fair chance. But I also don't want to tell them they're an ignorant jackleg for thinking differently than me about it. I want people to be excited for this movie. I want this movie to be successful and do well. And by God, I want to like this movie myself. I even want to love this movie myself. I'm not doing anybody a service being on a show like this to sit here and just offer up the opinion that you want to hear versus the opinion that I actually have. That's not truthful. It's not genuine. And if there's anything I can't stand, it's people that aren't genuine. So I don't want to be the guy that says, well, it looks pretty good to me, and I'm interested to see what's next, and this is cool and that's cool, because that's not what I'm seeing so far. So if I'm telling you that, I'm not being genuine. And if you can't appreciate the idea that I'm not sugarcoating something, I shouldn't even apologize for it. But I mean, for lack of something better to say, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But I don't want anybody else to feel like I'm thinking less of them or their opinion, because I'm not. That's just not who I am. Not anymore. I'd like to say I was never like that, but I don't know if I really can, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I'm not into this movie the way I wish I was into this movie so far.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, yes, we all had those moments where yeah, we take this stuff a little too seriously, and it gets personal, and I like to think that we've learned from that, and we're doing better or trying to do better than that. So even if we don't agree, at the end of the day, it's still a movie. It's just a movie. And it has nothing to do with us personally. It's and if you're psyched for it, that's awesome. We really are excited for you, and nobody wants to love this movie. I've said this a million times. No one wants to love it more than me. No one wants to love it more than Jamie, and we hope that we do. We still hope that we do. So yeah, I just want to say, even if we don't share the same excitement, it doesn't in any way it's not meant to in any way invalidate your excitement or say that you're wrong or that your opinion's wrong. It's just how we feel. To go back to the old standby, that's why they have menus at restaurants. So I don't know, I thought that was worth saying too.
To reiterate what I said earlier, even if this movie is what I hope it's not going to be, it's not ruining anything for me. I have dozens of other Batman TV shows, movies, comic books, content of every imaginable sort out there that I can go back to. It's not going to ruin my childhood. It's probably not even going to ruin my day if I don't like the movie, because I can go home and watch The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. It's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, new synopsis for the Batman. More is coming. It is going to be very cool and very interesting over the next few months, because the hype machine is rolling. It's only going to get more and more as we get closer to March. And so, yeah, we're off to the races.
There were a couple posters up for it already when I went and saw No Time to Die a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that. I haven't been to the theater since Halloween Kills, so I have not seen them yet. But we're trying really hard to get out there to see Dune and the Last Night in Soho. We want to see those. Those are the next on our hit list, so we'll see it then.
Oh, you haven't seen Dune yet?
Not yet. Because I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it on HBO Max. I want to see it on a big screen.
I watched the damn thing mostly on an iPad, and it was still fantastic.
All right, great. So,
but be warned, it is long, and it is. I hate to use this terminology, but a little on the dry side because it's trying so hard to develop characters and story. So I don't know. I don't want to get into a whole thing about it, but it's genuinely a marvel of a film.
Okay, great. I can't wait. It's just I've been traveling again. I keep doing that.
I believe the sequel's already been greenlit too.
It has, which is great news. I actually did breathe a sigh of relief. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm not as vested, but I knew it was a risky one. Denis Villeneuve, he has had critical hits, but commercial disappointments. And Dune, I know, is the big overarching epic. And so I really was rooting for it. And so I was glad that it actually did well and that they're moving forward with the sequel. That makes me happy. That gives me faith in the movie-going public.
That guy is such a great filmmaker too. I mean, from the smallest stuff of his that I've seen, going all the way back to, oh God, what's it called? Jake Gyllenhaal. Shame on me for not remembering what the hell this movie's called.
Nightcrawler? Was that him?
No.
That
I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, people out there are screaming at me for this, and I deserve it. But Arrival was fantastic. Prisoners, Sicario, everything I've seen of his has been amazing. Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
And this was no exception. I dare say I would go so far as to say that this is his best movie so far.
All right. Good.
Anyway.
Looking forward to it. So there you go. Those were the big news stories for the moment. Not tons, but still worth mentioning, and thought we would catch up there. But what we really need to catch up with is all you folks. So it's time to check in with you fine feathered finks as we crack open the Wayne Manor Mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor Mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, buckle in. We got quite a few because we have not gotten to them for the past 2 episodes. So first one here is from our old pal James Mullins. There was a recent message about if people recognized us in public, and here's what James said. He goes, I wanted to write in and say that I have seen Jamie in the wild.
Oh?
I was on vacation with my family driving from Dallas to Detroit, and Google Maps took me through Fort Wayne, Indiana. I saw a mountain of a bald man walking out and about wearing a black Batman t-shirt, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to bother him. So he can say he has been recognized. Cheers on the baby, Andy, and I'm definitely looking forward to Arkham Knight and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, so at least one of your listeners cares. Probably 2, because I'm sure Kevin Kerrigan does as well. Actual question. If you were to take over as the new ventriloquist, what would your puppet look like? Happy whatever time of year it is when you get to this. James Mullins. Thanks, James. We are now in Thanksgiving season, so appreciate that. So there you go, Jamie. James has seen you, but he didn't bother you.
I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of big, bald, corn-fed people that wear Batman t-shirts in this area, so it may not have been me, but it might have.
Is there?
Yeah, there is.
You're pretty unmistakable.
Listen, I watched a guy get out of a car the other day, and I swear to God, I was looking in the mirror because he was like 6'2" and great big and round and jolly looking and all that other stuff, and he was covered head to toe in Raiders gear. I'm like, my long lost brother. But no.
Okay. Okay, so if you were going to be the ventriloquist, what would your puppet look like?
The screaming goat from the Muppet Haunted Mansion thing.
Okay, good.
Because that thing was hysterical and I loved it.
Nice.
I don't know. I guess I would lean toward the more traditional style. Like I'm thinking of Billy in
Billy Dead Silence. Yeah.
That's kind of where I go with it.
Yeah, I kind of figured you'd go there.
Because you were going to. Right?
Because that's where my brain went too. I don't know. What would my puppet look like? What if it looked
Brendan.
like Robin?
Yours would look like Brendan.
Oh, I mean, he's pretty much the size of a puppet anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And he wants a piece of me up. Anyway. So.
I'm so ashamed.
So wrong. Yeah, mine would look like Brendan. Yeah, Brendan in a little Batman Forever t-shirt. How about that?
Perfect.
Okay, next message is from Aaron Chavez. It says, hey guys, we're talking about a Batman Universe crossover. When this was brought up, my mind instantly went to a crossover with Law and Order. I'd imagine Batman and or Robin working with the Law and Order detectives during the first part of the show. Commissioner Gordon would be the boss of Benson and Stabler from SVU. The second half would be Harvey Dent as the DA, alongside Angie Harmon, Annie Parise, or Alana de la Garza as the assistant DA. Okay, now I want this show. Also, I love the Michael Myers Barbara Gordon crossover idea. Keep up the good work, Aaron. Thanks, Aaron. And okay, so I don't know Law and Order well enough, but why the heck not?
I've never seen a frame of that show in my life.
Yeah, why not? I'm fine with that.
There's like 30 of them, isn't there?
Yeah, something. But I'm glad you like the Barbara Gordon Michael Myers idea, and huge shout out to Julian Chan who drew a bunch of pieces of artwork based on a lot of our ideas.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was about to say, watching that, or looking at that thing that Julian did of the covers for that book, all I could say is I'm really sad that it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. So, thanks, Aaron. All right, next message is from Muhammad. It says, hey guys, hope you're doing well. It looks like Andy woke up one day and decided to speed run through his adult life checklist. Congratulations on the kid coming your way. Wishing you and your wife all the best. Also, happy 16th birthday to Jamie's daughters. And just to complete my congratulations trilogy, congratulations on some recent event in your life, Brendan. Yeah. I mean, Henry rolled over, which apparently was a big enough achievement to post it on social media. So
you just wait. Your time's coming.
I can't wait. If I post, oh my God, my kid rolled over, you can be like, Andy.
Well, see, I'll tell you something, both of you, as the multiple parent. With the first kids, all that stuff is amazing. With the second ones, it's like, just don't drop them on their head or leave them outside at home.
Do you ever see those commercials where it's like first kid, where it was like, you know, someone dropped the pacifier and she's like, oh my God, don't, it has to be sterilized. And like, it's like second kid. And like, you know, that she hands the kid to like this dirty mechanic whose hands are covered in oil and grease.
That's as accurate gets.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, congratulations to Brendan. Thank you. And yeah, it has been the running joke of like, yeah, we're checking off the adult checklist all this year. To the point where the other day, like people on Twitter it was like top 4 movies of the year so far. And a lot of our fellow friends were like putting Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I was like, that wasn't this year. That was forever ago. Nope, it was this year. I just can't believe it was this year. So much has happened since then that I can't believe it's the same year.
God, that was only like not even quite 8 months ago.
I know. It's nuts.
But it does. It seems like 2 or 3 years ago.
That feels forever ago. Anyway, it says, regarding fandom, I'm excited for all the animation topics like Super Pets, Young Justice, and even the Aquaman show, whose animation style is not my favorite, but I'll give it a chance. I don't have any more thoughts this time, but I'll try to next time. Yours truly, Muhammad. Thanks, Muhammad. Appreciate the congratulations and the nice message. I'll tell you, I started that Aquaman show and I have not. I got like 5 or 10 minutes into it and like I was like, oh, I'll finish it later, and I have not gone back.
I haven't even started it yet, because that's what happens when you release something smack dab in the middle of a scare-a-thon.
Exactly.
And now I have all these TV shows and everything I have to go back and catch up on now, so it's not exactly high on my priority list.
Yeah.
But I can say this much, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad secondhand information, but pretty much everybody I know that did start watching it did not finish it.
Okay. All right. Next message is from Weston Craig. It says, hey, thank you for your reaction to my last email about Lamb Chop. I shared it with the whole family and it had us busting up laughing. It's for 2-year-olds, but we do love to make horror fans watch it. Question, have you seen the new Lego sets based off of the Batman? Be careful because they do give away some spoilers. Thanks, Weston. I have seen them, and I think some are already for sale. I feel like some of our local, or not our local, excuse me, our fellow Bat fans have posted that they have bought like the Lego Batmobile and stuff. So I think they're out there. But I'll tell you what, I don't stress about spoilers on Lego sets because there have been so many times in the past where people think the Lego set is a spoiler and it's not. Because they just need to make...
You remember that Target exclusive Man of Steel set that had the Lex and the power suit in it?
It was BVS, but yes, I have it.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I own it.
But yeah, I'm still waiting for that power suit.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, I don't stress too much about that as far as spoilers because yeah, there was a bunch of Lego sets with Marvel movies and with DC movies where you think it's a spoiler and then there's nothing in the movie that really reflects it. So I'm not worried about it. Although I still have a freaking Lego Batmobile from 1989 just waiting for me to finally break into it. I just haven't done it yet.
My son will do it for you. He put together 2 Star Wars Lego sets yesterday that he bought with his birthday money, and I don't think it took him an hour to do both.
Wow, nice.
He's very proficient at it.
Awesome. All right, next message is from Skip. It says, hey, Andy, I don't have a question, but I want to congratulate you on the baby. I myself just had my first little guy last year, and nothing beats being a dad, especially a dad who loves Batman. I have a ton of Bat Baby recommendations for toys, books, etc., so please feel free to ask, but I'm sure Brendan has you covered. Best wishes to you and your wife. P.S. You should do a Bat Dad panel after the baby is born. I'd be into it. LOL. Best, Skip. Thank you, Skip. Appreciate that. Very cool. So yeah, we're so excited. I got to tell you,
Andy already bought his baby one of those Batman '89 NECA figures that cost like $700. Mm-hmm. That's going to be his kid's first toy.
Yep. Well, you want to hear something? You want some exclusive news since Skip didn't have a question?
Hang on, let me get my drink.
Okay, here's some exclusive news having to do with Bat Baby DeGenova. We are doing a gender reveal. We're doing it. We're doing it at the baby shower, which is going to be in like 2 weeks now. Yeah, 2 weeks.
So you already know. You just haven't told any of the rest.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So we know. And what we're doing is we bought a bat signal and we're putting a colored gel over the bat signal. So when it's time, we'll flip it on and it will be either a blue or pink bat signal.
Your wife allows this.
She loved the idea.
In case I haven't already said it, clone her.
We wanted to think of something that was like fun and us, but like not obnoxious, and that's what we came to.
Well, I mean, if I would have been involved in the planning, I would have suggested she go with pink or blue infinity stones.
Well.
But, nobody called me for this. So.
Nope, sorry. Batman first.
Now you're just stuck with plain old Batman instead of Thanos.
How dare you say plain old Batman? All right.
For anybody who isn't aware, Catherine and I share an affinity for Thanos that most others do not. So that's kind of the thing with her.
You share an affinity for the infinity that is Thanos.
Well played.
All right, next message is from Bat Sam from Boston. It says, hey, first and most importantly, Andy, congratulations on the recent news that you and your wife are expecting. Mazel tov. Much less important. I wish I didn't think about this stuff, but here we go. Besides serving tea, do you think Alfred spends his time cleaning bat poo or guano off the surface of the bat computers, Giant Penny, T-Rex, Batmobile, etc.? Best to you, Bat Sam. Thanks, Bat Sam. And, I would be lying if I said I hadn't thought of that. Because I definitely have. Like, especially in movies where it's a little more... I can't help but think more realistically about it. When I see all the bats hanging off of the roof of the bat cave, I'm like, oh, Alfred's got to clean up so much shit. So I think so. That's the shitty part of the job.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
As someone who actually has quite a few bats that live on and around my property, like I'm sitting down in my basement right now and we have 2 big glass walkout doors. And over here in the corner, because you can see me pointing to my left, there is bats that live up in the corner below the deck that is above these doors. And I adore bats. They're amazing creatures. I wouldn't get rid of them for anything in the world because they're so useful and amazing to the ecosystem and just plain fun to sit outside and drink and watch by, a bonfire or something. But they leave an awful mess. That's kind of there's no other way to say it. They're I wouldn't go so far as to say they're like filthy, wallowing creatures or anything, but they do leave behind a lot of evidence that they were there.
Mm. All right.
So yeah, that's Al's got his work cut out for him in that department for sure.
Okay. All right, next message here is from Alec Metallic. It says, "Hey guys, DC Fandom was amazing. I loved everything that I saw. The Batman looks great. I have to say, looking at the monster designs in Shazam! Fury of the Gods makes me rethink which movie I'm most excited about. So I gotta ask, what was your favorite part of DC Fandom? Have a great day, Alec." Thanks, Alec. Jamie, what was your highlight of DC Fandom?
I mean, as I sit here now thinking about it, the one thing that still has me, the hair raised up on me a little bit is the creatures coming for Aquaman 2, because they were so great in that first movie, and knowing that they're going to expand even further in this second one, it just really perks my ears up a lot, and I can't wait to see what Juan comes up with this movie.
Yeah. Great choice. I think mine was The Flash. I think that's the one that I'm dying to see more from, and even though we didn't get a lot, what we did get, man, it worked for me. I think it's that. All right, next message is from my neighbor Burrito. So he says, "Hey, Andy, and probably Jamie. I want to start by saying congratulations to Andy. You're going to make a great dad. And that was easily the coolest birth announcement photo that I'd ever seen." There's too much good stuff from fandom to know where to begin. I'll just say the Batman trailer looks great. I even like the car. Some of the overall costume choices don't thrill me, but either way, it's going to make some people really happy, so I can't wait. Quick question for Jamie. Are you beginning to believe in the Flash movie yet? There's a lot to unpack in that teaser, but the quick shot of Keaton's cowl and Batmobile will keep me happy for a while. All the best. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thanks, my neighbor Burrito. And
trailer or bust.
So stubborn.
Yep, I'm not budging.
Okay, well, don't budge. I'm glad you liked the birth announcement. I was pretty proud of that too.
That was pretty good. I did
turned out
that.
Good.
And being friends with both of you, I got to see both angles for the photos too. So
yeah, because we each posted a different version. Yep. All right, next message is from David Ramirez. It says, "Hey guys, a longtime listener and patron, but first-time writer. Let me start by saying the Holy BatCast is my favorite podcast. You guys add a weekly dose of positivity and bat goodness to my life, and I always look forward to new episodes. We all know that Zack Snyder's take did not resonate with general audiences, but I'm finding that non-comic nerds in my life get more excited for a serious, grounded, and less fantastical Batman. I received a ton of positive messages from non-comic book friends after the new Batman trailer. People who I talk to about other things, and childhood friends who I know like Batman. I'd consider them your average moviegoers. Most of these friends of mine watch and enjoy the Marvel movies, so they do like those types of comic book movies, but it got me thinking, is this unique to Batman? Do you think general audiences just aren't interested in comic booky Batman that teams up and fights superpowered beings? If so, I think the Nolan films are partially to blame, but even Batman 89, which was very successful, it was a serious take on Batman with heightened realism. For the record, I really enjoyed Batman v Superman, and I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is a near masterpiece. It's just too long for repeat viewings. Anyway, sorry for the long email. Keep it up. What you guys do means a lot more to us than I think you know. Cheers, David. Well, thank you, David, and thank you for saying that, that what we do means a lot. That means a lot to me. It's nice to be appreciated, so thank you for that. But interesting question, and I feel like we've maybe addressed this in one way or another in the past, but want to hear Jamie's thoughts about, is it unique to Batman that people seem to be more interested in a more serious, realistic take?
I think so, and I say that only because of all of the known superheroes out there. Batman is really the one that, and is getting into a whole thing here, but Batman is the one that could exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, these are all, they're very fantastical. Batman could happen. You know, like Mark Zuckerberg could be Batman if he wanted to, but no, he would rather just sit around and suspend most people I know on Facebook for violating community standards, but instead of actually going out and fighting crime with all that money. But I think it is kind of unique in that sense because, again, I've said this before, and I don't want to, you know, get into a whole thing with it again, but Nolan was single-handedly one of the best things and one of the worst things that could have ever happened to Batman, at least as far as Batman on a screen, because he kind of set a precedent that was so wildly successful. It's being emulated to this day with projects, you know, going forward with Batman. And that's not a bad thing, but by God, there's room for more. That's kind of my issue here is I've seen this. I've seen the dark, gritty, realistic take on Batman. I want to see something less like that now. I want to see something of a more traditional comic book style Batman from, say, the 70s or 80s, like the Denny O'Neil style. You know, something like that to me would be far more welcomed at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of hard to say because some of these other characters are so, you know, I'm using air quotes because air quotes are good for radio, new to the screen thing. But like the next take on Iron Man, I feel bad for the actor who has to play it, the guy who has to write the story and everything else, because inevitably they're going to reboot Iron Man at some point, right? How's this going to live up to Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and however many, you know, a dozen movies or whatever it was that he played it from a cameo to a major role? That's going to be kind of the telling thing. You know, Superman kind of can't get out of his own way in a movie screen for some reason. Wonder Woman's relatively new. So, I mean, Batman's been going for, 32 years and counting now, not counting the 66 film. And there's multiple iterations, multiple versions, multiple actors, multiple stories, multiple ideas and presentations. And it's just, for that reason, I would say it's probably unique to Batman because there are so many various ones that somebody could say, that's my Batman, and they won't accept another one. Versus there really, at this point, is only one Iron Man, one Cap, one Thor, one Wonder Woman, one Green Lantern, whatever else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for rambling. Sometimes I have a hard time making my point.
It's all good. And I mean, I'm glad you talked because I don't know. I don't have a good answer. Like, part of me does think that maybe that's the case, is that because Batman is quote unquote the realistic superhero, that you know, there's a huge group of the audience that wants to see that. But man, as successful as the Nolan films were, I even remember there was a little backlash of those being like, oh, why can't they be as fun as the Avengers? You know, Rises came out the same year as the Avengers, and people, you know, like, I remember there was even stuff being like that where like there was some exaggeration of like, oh, the Nolan Batman films are too serious. Why can't they be more fun? And so I don't know, man. Like, it's a tough question to answer, but I guess is, yes, I do think there is a large group of people who go, oh yeah, Batman's the realistic one, so that's where he should stay. But at the same time, people were ready to line up and watch him team up with Superman. It was just that the movie didn't work for everyone. So
Yep.
I don't know if I can say that's a hard and fast rule, that that's the only way people want their Batman. Yeah, man,
some people just do only want that, though. I mean, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally am open to more than one translation of what Batman can be like because I've had so many in my lifetime. That was kind of what the point I was trying to make is I've sampled various ideas of what Batman can be in a live action movie screen format. These other characters I haven't really had that opportunity with, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some people that are only going to think the Nolan movies. There's some people that are only going to think the Keaton movies. I'm sure there's some people out there that only think the Affleck movies. I mean, it's just how things go. People have their own tastes and desires and wants, and you know, I just there's room for a lot of stuff with Batman.
Yeah.
I think I'm so ready to just see something else done with him on a screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, this next email is going to be more of that. So get ready. Okay. This is from Nathan. It says, "Hey guys, I'm a longtime listener. I had some thoughts on the new Batman movie, and I wanted to see if you guys could discuss these or as maybe a counterpoint to your thoughts on the movie. I'd love to hear Jamie's thoughts as he seems to have the most severe reaction to the trailer."
That's only because Brendan saves all of his cussing and screaming and swearing for our private chat. He doesn't do it in public.
This is true. It says, "I'm looking forward to this so much because while I love The Dark Knight and I really like Rises, one of my issues with Nolan is that after Batman Begins, he sort of abandoned the theatricality and thematic visuals in favor of extreme functionality. This looks like it's taking the practical, dark, and gritty approach from Nolan, but merging it with the sort of artistry and theatricality that Zack Snyder brought to the DCEU. To me, Batman is basically supposed to be a horror movie villain that terrifies criminals, and this achieves that for me. I get that vibe. While I appreciate how you, Jamie, and Andy sort of want something new and different and more brave and the bold Batman and not more grounded, gritty Batman, I'm not sure how gray and blue would really strike fear in the hearts of criminals. I understand the criticism of repetitiveness, and I do think the Batfleck look is about as perfect as we'll ever get, but we just got that from Batfleck, so I'm okay with a return to the armored look. As a side note, it seems like a lot of your criticism for the movie has to do with character design. My question is, why are we okay with creators having their own interpretation of a character's backstory and motivations, but it seems like you guys have a big issue with deviation from the classic look? We got the comic Riddler look with Jim Carrey, so why not have a more Zodiac-looking Riddler? All right, Nathan. Yeah, it's a lot to chew on. Jamie, you want to go first?
Well, I'll address the Riddler thing first, just because it's fresher on my mind, and I'm going to have to ask you to repeat the first thing that I have to go back and talk about.
Yeah.
But the Riddler thing, let's see, that was 1995. So by the time this movie comes out, we're 27 years removed from that.
Correct.
And there are a great number of people out there, and I'm not going to say everybody, that never accepted the Jim Carrey version. So what they wanted was what they would have considered the authoritative version to be done in this film, and that's not looking so far like that's what we're going to get. So there's people that have a problem with the aesthetic. They might just have that general disappointment. As Andy brought up, and I guess this is probably the first and foremost thing I'd say, show that to somebody and ask them to tell you who it is. I doubt very many people are going to say Riddler. It's just that far removed from anything that we've seen from Riddler before. And is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. Is it what I would have chosen for the Riddler? Hell no, not even close. But, Riddler is not like Batman. Like Batman, we've had so many people play him, so many different looks for him and everything else. Riddler, we've had Frank Gorshin, we've had Jim Carrey. Frank Gorshin was in the 60s. Jim Carrey was, what did I just say, 27 years ago?
26 years now, but 27 soon.
27 by the time this comes out, though. But that's a whole generation plus of people who have never seen Riddler on a big screen. Is there anything wrong with Reeves making his own choices and aesthetics and everything else for that character? No. I really need to see it in action and play out in the film to judge, but from what I've seen so far, it's just not a choice that I care for. That's the most diplomatic way I can say it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I was going to say something similar about as far as the looks of characters. I'm totally fine with new designs, new looks for characters, but it's always my rule with every comic book movie of show me the character and I should be able to go, oh yeah, that's absolutely the Joker. That's definitely Ant-Man. That's definitely Doctor Strange. That's definitely the Riddler. And this one is so far off center that if he didn't have that tiny little question mark on his lapel, that it's in the action figure. I don't know if it's in the movie. I assume it is. If you showed that to me, I have no idea. So, I think there are certain guide rails, and they're going extreme. And again, maybe in the end it'll work, but for someone who has been wanting a more serious take on the Riddler in film for years and years and years, this just wasn't what I was hoping for. And that's just the way it is. As for the other notes, I mean, first of all, I never said I wanted more Brave and the Bold. That was a Jamie quote.
That's me. That's been my statement all along. I want less Dark Knight, more Brave and Bold. That's what I've been saying right along. What I wanted out of this next iteration of Batman. That's me. That's not everybody.
Yeah. But I will say, I mean, I said this all along, is I never needed to get more real world Batman than Nolan. That was as far real world as I ever needed for Batman. In fact, in certain instances, it was too real world for me. And that's my preference for Batman, right? I still like Batman as a comic book character. That's part of the fun of him to me. So the fact that this is almost treating Nolan as it's too fantastical, that's why it doesn't work as much for me. But so I don't need Brave and the Bold. I don't need Batman 66. I don't need the Schumacher films. But, Batman Begins with 20% more Tim Burton. Well, now we're talking. That's sort of what I'm going for. I just want to
watch that movie.
I want a little more of that comic book aesthetic. And again, that's just my preference. So these, I mean, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to what your personal preference is. If you're willing to go in whole hog with what's going, with what Matt Reeves has got in store, that's great. That's awesome. If you don't mind it, if this is more to your Batman preferences, awesome. It's just, for us, we got very real world with Nolan. We got very dark and jaded with Batfleck, at least in BVS. We just wanted a not whole hog into the lighter cartoony side, but we just wanted a couple steps more towards that, not further into dark, gritty, serious. And so that's where I'm coming from.
This conversation predates the movies, by the way. Back in the days where we used to gather in the comic book shop once a week and have these debates between, patrons and the counter and everything else, I would always tell anybody who would listen how much I love The Dark Knight Returns, and you would be really surprised how many people said they hated The Dark Knight Returns because of what that did to the character of Batman. And we're talking about guys that were reading comics in the 60s and 70s, and obviously the version that Frank Miller wrote was significantly different than a lot of what was done in the 60s and 70s for that character. So they had a hard time accepting that translation of Batman, versus that was a big influence on how much I loved Batman. I'd always loved Batman from the time I was a kid and everything, Super Friends and Batman 66 reruns and all that stuff. I love that stuff, but The Dark Knight Returns just set its hooks on me and still hasn't let go 35 years later or whatever it's been. Mm-hmm. So these debates would often happen at comic book shops and comic translations of the characters. So it's the cinematic versions are nothing new. I mean, you get to talking to people like so many people love Tom King's Batman. I couldn't stand most of what I read. I mean, Tom King wrote 94 issues of that Batman series, and I probably hated 90 of them. But a lot of people loved it because it was a different take and a fresh take and everything else. So it's not a new conversation. It's one that's going to go on for probably forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, there's so many variations on what Batman can be as a character that it is kind of interesting that it can evoke these conversations the way that it does.
Well, and it's funny. I was just thinking about this. It's true with Batman, and I was just thinking about this. It's also true for the Muppets, which is a weird comparison, but go with me here in that they've been around so long. There have been so many different versions, so many iterations. They've changed hands so many times that fandom doesn't even agree what a good Muppets thing is anymore, just like they can no longer agree what a good Batman thing is anymore, because everyone just has their preferences. And so the beauty of that is nobody's wrong. It's just which Batman, works best for you.
Exactly.
Anyway, so moving forward, next message is from Justin Montgomery. It says, "Hey guys, I wanted to say thank you for keeping me company while I'm working nights. I went back and I listened to all the episodes since finding your podcast last year. Wow. That's a lot.
That's some dedication.
It's a lot of podcasts, but great. Here's my question. Did you see the Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum's 20th anniversary interview for DC Fandom? If you did, what did you think? I know you liked Smallville, Andy, and yes, Erica is the best Lois. Also, Jamie, I live in Indiana as well. Congrats on the baby, Andy. My wife is actually due on Halloween. Cheers. Have a great day. Thanks, Justin. Congratulations to you. And it sounds like by now you probably have a new addition to your household. So that's amazing. Congrats.
Indiana has a thing for Halloween babies. My twins were born on Halloween. At our old house, our next door neighbor, he was born on Halloween, and his mother named him Damien. Talk about awesome. A great sense of humor. So yeah, it's a big thing with us here in the Hoosier State.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I hope you actually had the baby on Halloween, because that's fun as heck.
If so, in good company.
Yeah. As for the Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum Smallville interview, I did see it, actually. I watched most of it, and yeah, it was really cool. I love those guys. I do love that show, Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I do love it. And so, yeah, it was really fun. It was great that they did that, and yeah, it was really fun. And I agree. Yes, Erica's the best Lois.
Somebody said Erica Durance, and I just completely lost my train of thought. I was drifting off there. Wow.
Indeed.
Anyway.
No argument.
Even my wife watched a lot of that show with me. I think she kind of got burned out around season 4 or 5, but she watched quite a bit of it with me up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally didn't see the interview, basically because, October is a crazy time for me trying to get. I watched 166 movies between September 1st and October 31st. Yeah, that was bonkers. Plus, all the stuff I did with my family, going on our little mini vacation to Tennessee and all that. Dollywood rocks, by the way. So yeah, I guess the biggest thing I saw from that was that meme that Brendan couldn't stop sharing that kept making me laugh every time I saw it, of where they were interviewing Allison Mack, but it was in a prison cell.
Yes.
God, that was funny. It's terrible, but it's funny.
It was funny. Yeah. Okay, moving forward. Next one is from Jacob Milligan. It says, hey guys, Andy, Jamie, Brendan, and whoever else might be there. I too missed watching DC Fandom live, but after catching up on everything, I felt there was so much I need to ask you about. However, your recap answered most of my questions. One thing I always loved about your show is that you are honest fans. You speak your mind about whatever's going on with DC content, and I'm forced to agree with Jamie about the Black Adam project and the Flash teaser. They've been talked about for so long, and we've had so little content on those projects. Now for the part of the email I'm dreading. The Batman trailer. I completely understand that not all DC projects are made for me. However, I feel as if this Batman movie is made for me. I love almost everything about it that I've been shown, but I must say it feels like a step back for Batman. It feels a lot like Nolan's Batman. Why do you think this is? In 2016 and 2017, we had Batman fighting alongside Superman and Wonder Woman, fighting otherworldly threats, and now we're back to square one. Is it because Batman v Superman wasn't that well received? Is DC trying to pay Reeves to Nolan it up? It's hard to say. Now, I'm personally enjoying most of the things I've seen from the trailers, but I certainly can't deny facts. Thanks for your time and honesty. Yours truly, Jacob. Interesting, Jacob. It seems like you're a little conflicted about your feelings for the Batman. In that it's like you really love what you're seeing, but you feel like it's a step back to more of Nolan's take. That's what it sounds like. So why do we think that is? I know why I think it is. I don't think that WB is saying, hey, Nolan worked, do that. I don't think that's what's happening. Because if you remember way back when Matt Reeves was initially in talks to do Batman, there was a moment where he walked away, where he was like, if you don't want to do what I want to do, it's fine, but I'm not going to do it. And then he came back. And I think that he came back because WB said, you know what? Do your Batman. Make it the way you want to make it. So I do believe genuinely that this is what Matt Reeves wants to do with Batman. I don't think that he's being pressured to make it more like Nolan or anything like that. And I don't think it's a response to BVS either. Affleck was always going to be an older Batman. You know, there was always going to be a time limit on that. And so I don't necessarily think those are the reasons. I just think that this is the type of Batman movie Matt Reeves wants to make. And they're letting him do it. So that's my guess based on what we know and what we have seen. Because I don't think WB is afraid to have Batman mix it up with the Justice League. So that's why they're sort of, that's the Flash is happening at the same time. And there are at least 2 Batmen in that Flash movie, along with Supergirl and God knows who else. So I think this is just a way for them to have it both ways. So, Jamie, what do you think?
I don't think I can add anything to that wasn't eloquently stated by you already. But I pretty much agree front to back on that.
All right. Okay, next message is from Todd Johnson. It says, hurry up and catch up on Titans, damn it. I have stuff to get off my chest, and I don't want to spoil anything. Anyway, still love you. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, I'm way behind on that. The last episode of Titans I watched was the one where Crane got away.
Okay. I think...
Blame Scarathon.
I do blame Scarathon. I think all I have left is the finale. So I'm almost caught up, and my plan is over the next few weeks is once we're both caught up, I do want to go back and then just do a season 3 recap episode. That's my plan. That just means us carving out the time to do it.
I should have time this month. Should. I'm not saying I will. Should.
I want to hear what Todd has to get off his chest.
My guess is he either loves or hates Crane, because that's kind of where I'm here.
Yeah.
Like Milk guy, our pal Guy Milks, almost quit the show because he hated Crane so bad.
All right, I remember.
So, yeah.
Okay, next message is from Jake. It says, hey, Holy BatCast, I hope you're doing well. I know you're into horror and doing scarathons, but for the music side, have you heard of the hard rock band Ice Nine Kills? All their songs are based on horror movies, so if you want some Halloween music, they're the way to go. As for the Batman, I was curious on your thoughts of how it seems to be going in the way of Batman doing some investigating as Bruce Wayne. Feels like something new, and it hasn't been explored much in the movies, so do you think we'll get Matches Malone? Thanks for all that you do and all the hard work you've put in. Take care. Happy Halloween, Jake. Thanks, Jake. Happy Halloween to you. I hope you had a great Halloween. Ice Nine Kills? No, have not heard of them. Jamie?
I haven't either. No.
Yeah. But
I'll check them out, though. Yeah,
important tip. Although I've moved on from Halloween music. You're going to have to remind me next year, somewhere in late August. As for Batman, it looks like Batman could be doing some investigating as Bruce Wayne. What do you think, Jamie?
I don't think that's unheard of, but, the Matches Malone, the possibilities there, I guess. I would guess it would be more like Matthew Malone for this movie, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, that would be like a really cool nod if they were to go that way. I wouldn't hold my breath. I do think that, yes, he's doing some stuff as Bruce, but I would be shocked to get Matches Malone.
Let me also go on record, since the Batman keeps getting brought up. I'm going to forgive a lot of what I don't like of what I've seen from this movie so far if they give me that one thing that I keep asking for and haven't gotten yet. The internal monologue.
Yeah. And there were rumors that
I'm
it could be in there.
I'm going to let a lot of shit go if I get an internal monologue done well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Next message is from Tom Fallows. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan. Hope you're well. Congrats on the big news, Andy. I enjoyed your fandom discussion. I have to say I enjoyed the Batman trailer. I thought it looked pretty epic, and I loved seeing all the bits shot in my home city of Liverpool. Also, I think when Batman was being shot at by the SWAT team in the tunnels, and it's the catacombs under St. George's Hall where they filmed in March. Okay. I said, my question is would an interesting idea for Batman to treat in a realistic fashion, but his world is becoming more fantastical? I mean, we've never seen the story of Batman who has thought the mob and people like Joker and Two-Face, and then have to contend with the likes of Mr. Freeze or Clayface and see how he adapts to those challenges. The good thing is it doesn't have to be set in his early years or when he is old and grizzled. Thanks for the great podcast as always, Tom Fallows. Thanks, Tom. An interesting to treat in a realistic fashion, but his world is becoming more fantastical. Okay, I think I get the question. The question is, you sort of start the franchise in a very realistic real-world environment. Batman is super realistic, and then as the movies progress, some of those fantastic elements are brought on, and so then you've got a really real-world Batman having to contend with something like a Mr. Freeze or Clayface. Yes?
Escalation, as Gordon said.
Sure. So yeah, Jamie, what do you think of that?
I would certainly be accepting of that. I would much rather have started at that point, but it is what it is at this point. If the sequel, inevitably, I think Reeves is going to want to do his take on the Joker. I don't think there's just any way we're going to avoid that. Even though I think
absolutely,
it's possibly more outdone than Batman himself at this point. But it's Joker's a piece of Batman, so I can't imagine a guy that wants to tackle a Batman trilogy isn't going to want to bring Joker in at some point. But I would rather see the likes of Freeze, Clayface, Man-Bat, Deathstroke, I dare say. Stuff like that is more where my interest would have been piqued with it than where we're at now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of being open to that translation. And listen, Reeves is not above doing things in a fantastical way. I mean, he did a movie about a giant monster wrecking New York.
Right.
He did a movie about talking apes taking over the planet. I mean, he's not above doing these sort of things. He's just going to do it in a very grounded approach to it, which I'm fine with, but I want to see where we're at with this movie before we progress to that, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a cool idea, and I certainly think it could work. I'm down for that. If you start folding in some of these more fantastical villains and elements as you go, but you keep Batman himself grounded, I think that could work. And honestly, that's where I'm hoping it's going to go. Not the huge jump to Schumacher land, but I am hoping the Riddler takes on a more traditional look as he progresses, and same with Catwoman, and that means that in future films you could bring in characters like a Mr. Freeze or something. So yeah, I like the idea, and I do hope that's where they're headed. So, all right, next message is from Kendrick McMillan. It says, "Hey, Bat Brethren. First, congratulations on all your individual successes, both personal and professional. While watching Fandom this year, I hoped the Batman trailer would move me, and like the teaser, it did nothing for me. This bothered me because, like any Bat fan, I should be excited. When Jamie shared his thoughts, they echoed mine 100%. Nothing I've seen so far makes me want to watch the film, and I'm glad it's not just me. Thank you for making this podcast awesome. Looking forward to the next episode. Take care, Kendrick." There you go, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm not alone. Now we're two.
You're not alone. And I mean, that's the thing. We're not alone. There's people.
No, I actually got messages from a couple people about saying, I'm kind of in agreement with most of what you said. People that I know, friends of mine that said that listen to the show.
Yeah.
And again, if I'm alone on an island with it, fine. If I'm on a crowded metroplex with a bunch of other people with it, fine. It's not why I form my opinions is because of what other people's opinions are. But I knew I couldn't be the only one that thought like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even talking to Brendan. Brendan has a tendency of being really diplomatic when he's talking about the stuff versus the chat that we have. He unloads his full "see you next Tuesday" self into things.
Well, I mean, he's pretty unfiltered on Twitter too, but then he got, that he got some blowback because of that. So maybe that's why he's been a little timid.
At any rate, but
Anyway, so next message is from Mark Bickford. It says, "Hey guys, I have to admit the new trailer for The Batman didn't grab me as strongly as the first one. It was too much of a kitchen sink job. Here's some Penguin, here's some Catwoman, here's a smidge of Riddler, now let's have some violence. Where last year's seemed far more focused. I do think that some of the camera shots were great, the muzzle flash strobe effect, the upside down POV at the end, but I need to admit, I have a few years on you guys. When I sat in the theater on 6/23/89, I was already an adult, and I had been a Batman fan for close to 20 years. And for most of those 20 years, I had to endure the realization that to most people, Batman was a joke character. So the fact that Michael Uslan made that movie and made Batman not only serious, but the most financially important IP at DC was an indescribable catharsis. So concerns about any particular movie aside, let's celebrate that we live in an era where we can afford to say, I don't care so much for this Batman movie, I'll prefer the next one over there, because the alternative is incredibly lonely. On a more lighthearted note, I saw that Bill Murray is going to be in the new Ant-Man movie, so I'll ask, how would you cast the remaining original SNL cast members into DC films? Like Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Jane Curtin, Lorraine Newman, and I'll throw in the two who are no longer with us, John Belushi and Gilda Radner. And then 2 quick thoughts on Titans. First, I hope it's not too spoilery to say that I'm glad they didn't end this season by dropping a Ferris wheel on Donna Troy. Second, I've been listening to your podcast for several years now, long enough to remember your relationship before Catherine. So without asking for anything that's none of my business, I did find myself wondering what your reaction was when Bruce's romantic advice to Jason was, if she says she loves cats, run.
Sorry. That was probably inappropriate to laugh at that, but
yeah,
wow.
It's okay. Thanks as always for a great show. Remember, when your Skype app pops up and it says Loey007, it's not just a call, it's a warning. Mark. Oh, Mark, what a message. What a message. First of all, your initial point is spot on. We are very spoiled as fans that if we're not feeling a certain Batman property, movie, TV show, comic book, cartoon, that we can go, that's okay, maybe the next one will be more to my liking. We're very lucky as fans that we have that, and it's a great point.
Spoiled ass brats, every one of us.
Yep. As for Titans, I will just say that made me laugh. That's all I'll go with that. And then, oh man, the SNL cast members in DC films. So I don't know if this is like in their heyday. I would think. So it'd be like, don't you think? Because I don't know how I would cast an old Chevy Chase in a Batman movie.
What was the name of that old superhero in the oh god, the one that had the DC roast, that show? They had that old superhero that was like retiring or something.
Yes, retired man.
Yeah, that's Chevy Chase.
Yeah. But I mean, this is one of those that, yeah, we'd probably have to think about it, and we can't. But first thing I'll say, Dan Aykroyd, older Dan Aykroyd, I think could be a decent Penguin. When I think of
Chevy in his prime would have been Batman, because he came from money and he's kind of a douchebag, but he's like also the MVP.
Oh.
You know what you follow my train of thought there?
Maybe. No, I was thinking,
I've been watching some Chevy Chase this week too. I watched Seems Like Old Times. I watched Fletch Lives. I love that guy. I do. I know it's not. He's apparently an insufferable ass in real life, which is unfortunate. But God, I loved his work.
I mean, he's talented. That doesn't make him a nice guy, but he's certainly talented. I'm about to watch. We're getting to the time of year for some Christmas Vacation.
Classic.
Speaking of Vegas, there was a Christmas Vacation slot machine.
Oh?
Yeah. And I didn't play it because I was on the search for something else, but I was like, that's fun. Anyway, Chevy Chase, I am not going to back up your Batman call. I don't think he'd be a good Batman. I don't know who he would be, though.
He's tall enough to be Superman, I guess. But
yeah.
Of course, Batman and Superman are about eye to eye in a lot of cases. So.
Right. Like, I don't think any of these guys would be a great Joker, if I'm being honest. You know, I could see Chevy Chase maybe.
Chris Rock would be a good Joker.
Yeah, I could see Chevy Chase maybe as a Riddler, maybe. I know I'm just going like Batman villains, but that's where my brain goes.
I get it. That's a tough one off the cuff.
But really I mean, like Chevy Chase as like Gene Hackman Lex, that could work. Like the cheesier, more smarmy Lex.
So does that mean you're going to have John Belushi be Otis? Or?
Yeah, I'd watch that. Jane Curtin could be Lois Lane. Maybe because I'm just envisioning her at the news table with Chevy Chase, but young Jane Curtin I could see as a Lois Lane.
Gilda Radner is Wonder Woman, man. I'd go with that.
Lorraine Newman could be Harley Quinn.
That works. Yeah.
John Belushi. Who would John Belushi be? I mean, Otis isn't bad, I'll be honest.
I'm trying to piece him in somewhere, and I'm having a hard time with it.
Yeah, me too. That's tough.
The Flash. I'd just make him the Flash just because it would just be hysterical.
Yeah.
Like I somehow can picture him trying to mimic running fast, like no special effects or anything, like just him doing it, and it just clicks.
Okay. All right. Well, tough call, Mark, but appreciate the challenge. Those are answers. I don't know if they're the best answers, but they're answers for now.
I was more of a 90s Saturday Night Live guy. Chris Farley and Mike Myers and all them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he said he had a few years on us.
True.
All right, next email here is from Brian B. It says, hey guys, I hope all is going well. Andy, congrats on the future Tim Drake or Barbara Gordon and the new house. I recently myself bought a house for the first time, and I've got to say the projects never end when it comes to being a homeowner. What fun! Anyway, my questions are non-Batman related, but I'll find a way to sneak one in. Number one, what are your guys' thoughts on Lee Pace as Batman? He's too old now, but I always thought he could have been great. Number two, I loved your RF for RM podcast about Halloween Kills and the horror movie scores. Jamie, while I have different views on you with most things, especially Marvel, I agreed with your list 100%, especially It Follows and Dawn of the Dead. While I missed the Holy BatCast episode where the question was asked, so I apologize if this was already brought up, but here are some that you didn't bring up. The Omen, Prince of Darkness, The Shining, Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead. Thoughts? And any score you forgot that you would also like to add. As always, thanks for your hard work on the pod, and I hope the holiday season treats you fellas well. Thank you, Brian. That's awesome. And yeah, we had a great time doing that horror movie score episode. So I'm glad we should
make that like an annual part of the Halloween special thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Lord knows there's enough content out there to address.
That is true. I will say of the ones that Brian mentions here, the only one I'm really familiar with is Prince of Darkness, which I do love because John Carpenter.
Great score.
But the other scores, The Omen, Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead, I'm not so familiar with. And The Shining, obviously I know The Shining very well, but the score is not one that rings a bell, like that I can think of.
The main theme is solid. That's on my playlist, and I don't even like the movie. Reanimator, if you listen to that score, I think you'll find it's got a lot of borrowed ideas and sounds from Psycho, actually.
Okay.
It's a good score. I like that one. Return of the Living Dead, like the main theme from that is awesome. I love it. It's good stuff. What was the other one he said? Omen. That's a good one. That's a classic one. I don't usually rock that one out because it's got a lot of that whole chanting stuff, and I'm not going to say I don't like that. It's just not something that it's really in my wheelhouse necessarily. I'm sorry, what was the other one?
Omen, Prince of Darkness, The Shining, Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead.
Okay, that covered them all then. We're good.
But thanks for chiming in, Brian. And then as for Lee Pace as Batman, 100%. I think he would be great. I love that choice. And what do you mean he's too old now? He's a year younger than me. How dare you, Brian?
You're going to need a really big cowl, though, to cover those eyebrows.
Yeah, well, that's okay. He can trim. He's Bruce Wayne. He can afford a trip to the spa, get his eyebrows plucked. No, I think I think he would be great. I love Lee Pace. I think he's awesome.
Nobody ever accused him of being a bad Batman.
No.
You see, I kind of went Rooney there.
Oh, nice.
Ronan accused him. No, never mind. Forget it. It was terrible. Move along.
Yeah. All right. We got one last message here, Jamie, and then oh my God, I can't believe it. We'll be caught up. And it's
I can go to bed because I'm old.
Good. It's from our friend Julian Chan, and of course he's got to throw us a curveball. He says,
Lord.
Hey, Batcasters, I hope everything is fine in your respective locations. I have a fun little question. The following directors have very distinctive styles. So which DC property or Batman storyline would you assign to each director? Steven Spielberg, Wes Anderson, David Fincher, Guy Ritchie, and George Miller. If you need thinking time, feel free to answer on your next episode. As always, thanks for the Bat content. Your friend and Bat brother going bonkers in honkers, Jazzy Jules. Thanks, Jazzy. Well, we're not going to think and wait till the next episode because the whole point of this episode is to clean out the darn mailbox. So you're just getting off-the-cuff responses. Sorry about it. All right, first one. Steven Spielberg. I'll go first. Superman. Steven Spielberg would make an amazing Superman film.
I'd watch that.
Anything else for Spielberg?
There's not a lot of Green Lantern with Spielberg. I think would also be outstanding.
Yeah, or
He's
even
got a great
Justice
eye for
League.
Scaling. Yeah, I'd watch that too.
Yeah,
I was saving that for George Miller, but yeah,
I figured, but sorry. Well, we're saying okay. Steven Spielberg, Superman. We're saying that.
Yes. Yeah, we're there.
Okay, Wes
Fincher's
Anderson.
Batman. Fincher has to be Batman, right?
I was gonna say David Fincher, The Long Halloween.
Which is Batman, right?
Last I checked, but I was gonna go more specific because a Fincher Long Halloween could be rad as hell.
Pardon me, senor.
So we'll jump ahead to that one. Wes Anderson.
Something really, really quirky with a very offbeat tone and sense of humor.
Yeah, Blue Devil. Or Plastic Man, or Animal Man. No, none of those.
I'm thinking. I mean, none of those are things I would object to necessarily.
Same thing. I was thinking comedic. Something comedic but weird.
Yeah.
Like, what are some weird? I mean, if we didn't have a show, Doom Patrol.
Oh God, yes. That would have been ideal for Wes Anderson, honestly.
All right. Guy Ritchie.
Something bombastic with almost Edgar Wright kind of a humor to it. I don't know.
I am going to say Guy Ritchie could make a badass Wonder Woman movie.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not like hip deep into Ritchie films as much as some of the others.
I love Guy Ritchie. I think he's great.
I don't dislike him. I'm not like way into his stuff like I would be Spielberg or George Miller or any of those. I'm going to change my answer. Fincher should do Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay. And then George Miller. But your answer can't be Justice League.
Batman. Since I took Batman away from Fincher, I'm going to give it to George Miller.
Well, that was easy. I think George Miller could do a great Green Lantern movie.
Yeah. Honestly, you could hand George Miller the keys to any DC, Marvel, or any other property, and I'd be like, yes.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're not wrong. And if I can't pick Justice League, then I'm going to say Teen Titans. George Miller, Teen Titans.
That would be tight. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's so diverse Mad Max Fury Road and Happy Feet.
Yeah.
And Babe.
Oh, so he should do a Penguin movie, Happy Feet.
Witches of Eastwick.
Happy Feet 3, The Rise of Oswald.
Oh, no, hang on. If we can't have him do Justice League, he can do Justice League Dark.
Yeah. I could also see Guy Ritchie doing that.
Yeah, I think I could roll with that. Ritchie would be ideal for Constantine, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Well, there are some options for you, Jazzy Jules. Thanks for the question. Thanks for keeping us on our toes.
I'll be thinking about that one for like a week.
Yeah, that was a fun one. It was easier than casting the original SNL cast.
True.
That was a tougher one. Guess what? Mailbox is clean.
Ugh.
This mailbox is clean. I'm channeling Zelda Rubinstein.
With that one last reference in for the scary season.
That's right. Well, because I randomly watched all the Poltergeist movies this Scare-a-thon. Because they were all on HBO Max. And I was like, well, what the hell? Let's do it.
I've only ever seen the first one. I might have seen the second one when I was a kid, and I never went back to it again. But I don't remember for sure.
I had seen parts of 2 and 3 over the years, especially on cable when I was a kid, but I'd never sat and watched them.
3's the one with the apartment building, right?
Yeah, it's in the high rise in Chicago.
Yeah, I never saw that one.
And then I even watched the remake. I committed.
I honestly forgot the remake even existed until you made that post in the group the other day.
Me too. But it was, that one was not on HBO Max. That one I shelled out $4.99 for, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was fine. It was like, as far as remakes go, it was fine. Didn't mind it.
All right.
So there you go. There's your faint praise for the Poltergeist remake. I didn't mind it.
That's on the box art.
Yeah.
You could spend $5 on something worse.
Trust me, there are far worse horror remakes out there. Far worse. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, sorry. Scare-a-thon's over. On to turkeys. It's turkey time. Thank you guys for writing into the Wayne Manor Mailbox. Thank you for your patience as we finally got to them today. Sorry it did take so long, but these things happen, so we do appreciate that. But we appreciate you guys writing in. We love hearing from y'all. We love the random questions. We love your thoughts and your input, so we do appreciate that. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor Mailbox for next time, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode of the show. Jamie, glad we were able to make it happen. Good to have you back.
Yeah, it was good to be back. Some nice discussion going on in there. A lot of rambling, which, it's a good episode when I'm rambling about stuff.
And I mean, if my hunch is correct, we're going to do this again soon.
Oh?
Because there's a certain kangaroo who's on hiatus.
Oh?
He's fired. He's cut off.
Well, his kid rolled over for the fourth time.
His kid rolled over.
He's got to call the documentarian film crew.
Exactly. He's busy hiring a skywriter because his baby rolled over. Anyway, I can make fun of it for now. I'm already trying to set up my child with Brendan's child. Gender notwithstanding.
Right. I was privy to this conversation. I saw that.
Yeah. So anyway, that'll do it. Always fun. Jamie, you're not on social media, but that's okay. Enjoy the peace and quiet. And for anybody out there listening who misses Jamie, who wants to hear his thoughts, his musings, his ramblings, as he so eloquently put it, just stay tuned. Stay tuned to Holy BatCast, Real Fans for Real Movies. Please rewind wherever you pop up. You're never gone for long.
Was it Cypher in the Matrix that said ignorance is bliss?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me eating that delicious, wonderful-looking steak and saying ignorance is bliss because I'm not listening to any of that social media jive.
Good thinking. Anyway, everybody out there, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for downloading the show. Please do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Visit holybatcast.com, and again, find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor Mailbox, that email address is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. So that'll do it. On behalf of Jamie, Ibe, and Andy, we'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for. And it was less than 2 hours. Oh my God, look at us go. We're killing it.
We're efficient.
Holy shit, I'm so proud of us.